Stephen Andrew, who is One Nation, of course, and holds the seat of Mirani.
The government does not have a credible plan.
I beg your pardon, that is the wrong audio. Sorry about that. This is the audio I was chasing.
There's some good stuff in it. There's a lot of pre-election type stuff in it. As you know, the measures are being rolled out to try and make the cost of living more affordable in the short term. I don't think that's going to happen in the long term. I think it's just going to ratchet up later down the track to make it more unaffordable. Some of the stuff that didn't get addressed that I'd like to see addressed more, the hospital and health systems. Well, this is a problem that we have with government. They assess their actual, what they achieve as far as spend, and not an actual fact of what we actually get for our buck. That's the sad part about it. We'd like to see, these things like hospital and health systems, they're run by people, just like teachers run schools, and we don't have enough people, we don't have enough housing, we don't have enough resources to be able to, entice people to come to our country areas, especially we have 13 teachers down at Serena State High School now for the past 4 years, and a lot of these kids don't even get the opportunity now to use, the manual arts area. We're one of the biggest catchments for tradespeople around the area, and it's sad because, and these are the things, we wanted an overpass. We've got kids that are trying to, coming up, have wheelchairs that are going to try and go across railway lines and all the rest of it. It's going to be a difficult situation. We've asked for these. We've tried to give the government an understanding of what the rural areas need. They've been very lacking in some areas. Some areas they have given money. We've got new hospitals. We've got the situation, but we've got no actual housing or availability of housing for people to come there, to attract people to actually work in the region. We seem to be failing all the time on these things. It's a long-term government that has sort of fallen back on the situation and not really looked at what's actually needed for Queensland in certain ways, but other ways they have. They put money in other areas. Renewable is a big one. Is it the right way to go? I don't think so. We just had the opposition leader say that he totally doesn't back the Pioneer Vertican Hydro. I think we can see even the federal government doesn't back that because there's no budget there for that as well on the federal side of it. They've had their fingers well and truly burnt with some of the Snowy River stuff. So, they're not going to go in for another deep dive into renewables and put budget into it because, it's just not viable. It doesn't do anything for the whole region and people don't want it. And, we've gone out, they've spent $111 million or whatever it is on buying up properties and with no EIS, with no financial studies, with no real budget in place to be able to deliver this project. I think it's a cart before the horse situation where, the government just doesn't understand what they're doing. They're just so busy. They're going to a destination with no roadmap, Meech. And the whole situation with the renewables is all the same. It's just clearing of all the great areas of the last bastions of all our nature reserves, carte blanche on destroying all that. No real understanding of what this means for our wildlife or what it means for our, the ecosystems that these things are going to touch into. I think we've got to go back to basics and start, measuring it twice and cutting it once and getting some real good alternatives just in the department side of it, the health system, the youth crime system, what's happening there, right across, the cost of living. Where we are is in a really bad place, and no Band-Aid measures in short term to get votes or whatever they decide that they think they're going to do with this money is going to really give Queensland a full, sustainable way of going forward. It's going to ratchet up later down the track and everyone's going to be under twice as much pressure.
Interesting, Stephen Andrew, with regards to the whole proposed Pioneer Vertican pumped hydro scheme, so many people saying they've got it back to front, and the state development area they're talking about for, biofuel industries and whatnot, full-on consultation going on at the moment. The government wants to know what we think about, 900 hectares around Racecourse Mill and then also out around Rosella. That probably appears to be the way that it should have been done up there around Youngler and Netherdale, hey?
Yeah, well, there's options. And these are the things that could have been done and they're not being done because another thing is I found a lot of the bills that are going through Parliament, even pre-budget, the whole way of this last term of the 57th Parliament, it's just been, there's no consultation. Consultation is at an all-time low. It's just like, this is what you get, omnibus bills with a whole heap of, punitive measures in there for people on the land, farmers, the way that we do business, all this stuff. It's all in there. But when you actually have a look behind the scenes, where's the consultation with community? Where's the impact studies? None. They're saying it's mechanical in nature. We're just going to do this. We're just going to do that. We're going to change the act. We're going to do that. But they don't realise that some of these punitive measures and some of the costs and the penalties involved would wipe farmers clean out.
So with the polls the way they are and going to we go to the election October, if the LNP got in, is it going to change? Would it be any better from where you sit there for One Nation?
It's yet to be determined. Like we've, through COVID, it's like I'm struggling to define the difference at the moment. The Cat has moved a motion last night about the 75% net zero target, and the LNP weren't. They left the House. They abstained from voting. The stuff with the treaty, they did a turn on that. Like, where is a clear path forward for either party? And then who's really? It's the faceless men behind it. I don't know how it works. All I know is I run my show. If the people, decide this, I swore an oath to the people, and I try and stick to that oath, Meech. Yeah. And that's a very important thing in this day and age. We can't just squander money and think it's going to be an endless coffer that we can just go in there and keep taking from, because that's not true. We have debt, and we have a lot of debt, and I don't think you can make any bad, steps in the wrong direction without having to, for the taxpayer to actually cop it in the neck. We're going to cop it down the track. It's going to get expensive to live.
Stephen Andrew, who's from One Nation Party, of course, and holds the seat of Mirani. His thoughts on the budget and where we're going politically. Also got a really interesting text here too, which alludes to pumped hydro, which of course Stephen Andrew's spoken ad nauseum about over the months that we've been covering it, or years we've been covering it actually.